I wish this video was out when I first started my business around 5, 6 years ago, or with any kind of goal I've ever pursued. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another training. Today, we're going to be going over on why it's more important, why it's more powerful to do less to accomplish more when you're starting out on your journey. And this can go for any kind of goal. If you're trying to accomplish a business goal and build a business, we're going to use that as an example today. Maybe you're trying to find love in your life. Maybe you're trying to lose weight. Whatever it may be, less is more, and I'm going to show you why today. Now, if you're anything like me, what I was like before I started my journey, before I actually started to get some momentum going in my life, what I was like before is I was 0 to 100. I would try every single thing at once. When I had business going, I had like 3 or 4 businesses that I was making at the same exact time, trying to wear every single suit, working nonstop to make things happen. It was my absolute life. I lived it, I breathed it, I ate it. It was everything. And this goes for everything that I've ever really tried to accomplish in my life in the past before. And oftentimes, what I'd find is that number one, if I wasn't like when I first started my business, I was super, super insecure, as in I had this insecurity that I was never enough. And that drove me super hard to succeed. Luckily, that was there. That was the fire that was always there to keep me showing up. But what often happens to most of us is that typically we'll just end up burning out. Typically, we'll just give up, we'll lose motivation, we'll lose focus, we'll self-sabotage, we will procrastinate until the end of time, we'll wait for the perfect time in our lives to start. And it never gets done. We never really actually truly make changes. If we look back in the last 1, 2, 3 years, you notice that some things are still kind of the same. And the reason why, and what we're going to dive into today, is because oftentimes what we do is we focus on actions too much, but we don't focus on identity enough. So today we're going to be dissecting how the belief system works, how it ties into your ego and your identity, and why that's keeping you stuck all along, and why we need to slow down in order to speed up. Do less and accomplish more. How does this work? What most of us do when trying to change is, let's say, for example, with money, we make a ton of plans, right? I'm going to go do this, 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 this. I'm going to buy this program. I'm going to go travel this place. I'm going to do all these things. I have these 3 business ideas. I'm going to test them all out. I'm going to go all in on these things, right? And then we'll start trying all this different stuff. We'll, work more hours at work. We'll start a side hustle. We'll watch every single podcast and we're so fired up, right? We're feeling really good. And then we have this crazy success routine. Like, I'm going to get up at 3 in the morning because everyone else gets up at 5 in the morning that are successful. So if I get up at 3 in the morning, then I'm even better. And then we do these crazy long morning routines. We will do all this hectic stuff just to try to get into that success position. And then most of us have the idea that in order for me to succeed, I must suffer, right? And we'll just grind and grit our way through and do things that we just don't actually want to do, but we believe we need to do it if we want to succeed, if we want to accomplish that amount of money or whatever it may be. Same thing for love, right? If you look at how love works, if someone's super desperate for love and they want it really, really bad, they're very motivated to find love in their lives. Usually, someone after a breakup usually does this, right? We got that pain body, and then we feel that desperation. We want to go out and find that love again, and kind of in withdrawal. We'll go on a ton of dates, right? We'll go on a ton of apps. We'll get lots of chats going. We'll dress up differently. Maybe we'll start getting in shape when we weren't in shape before. We'll do all these crazy new things that we think we should do to get the thing that we want. But before, we weren't doing those things. But as we notice statistically, and if just most of us are just honest with ourselves, we look back in our past, 90% of the time, what happens? 90% of the time, every time that you made that plan, when you had that crazy desire, when you did all those crazy things for that short burst, what did this do? And this is not an attack on you personally. It's almost like I'm talking to myself, my younger self here. What happens is that we burn out. We give up. We lose focus. We lose motivation. We just can't handle it. And in the end, it doesn't really happen. So here's the shift. Okay. Here is the shift that we want to make. The shift is, so I'm going to get you almost do homework with me. So if you have a pen and paper, it would be perfect. We'll kind of do this as a class. And I'll explain as we go why we're doing what we're doing. The first shift is I want you to make a list of 10 things that you want most in your life right now. So maybe it is you want to make a certain amount of money. Maybe you want to get a debt. Maybe you want a certain relationship. Maybe you want to get your health to a certain point. Maybe you're trying to accomplish a degree or a course or a program. Maybe you're trying to make that next $1 million. Whatever it is, write down a list of 10 things that you want most in your life right now. And take your time to do that. Pause this video if needed. Because as soon as you're done that, I'm going to get you to take 70% of it and I want to cut it all out. You have to trim it down by 70% and you can only keep three, maximum three things. The reason why is because at first, you, I'm not saying you're not going to accomplish those 10 things, but right now you want to conserve that energy, right? It's like you're trying to fill up a glass of water. Why grab seven glasses and half, fill them up by a quarter when you can just pour one full glass? It's a bunch of extra work that's not needed when you're just trying to get a drink of water, right? So cut out 70% and dial in on the three most important things that you want in your life right now. You're immediately going to notice all your energy is you're going to get all that energy back. Imagine it's like, okay, well, again, it's like, why have seven businesses that do the same amount of revenue compared to one business that does the same amount of revenue as all the businesses? You're going to have so much time and energy to grow that one thing at the start. Mind you, millionaires always talk about how they have seven plus incomes, but at the start, usually they grow one nest egg that then pours into the other seven, right? Relationships. Why have seven boyfriends or girlfriends, or try to at least talk to them all? Why not just get the one first or whatever it may be? Because trying to talk to seven different people at one time, you're going to have no energy. You're going to forget the conversation. You're not going to know what's going on. Your heart's not going to be in it. They're going to feel that. So cut 70% of the thing. So to make the list of 10, cut 70% out of it and keep the top three that you want most in your life right now. And you're going to go all in on these. And here's the real shift. Okay. The real shift behind this is about getting into alignment with what you want. Some people, if you look through how neuroscience works or the body, like the nervous system works, you can call this coherence. I'm going to call it alignment. Alignment is not a mood. Alignment is not like I am chasing happiness in my life. No. Alignment is when your belief system, your identity, and your actions are all connected towards your goal. So if you just imagine for a second the person you want to be, the goal, self, your goals, whatever it is, think about what that person believes about themselves. What do they think about themselves? How do they feel about themselves? And how do they act on a daily basis? It's almost like so aligned, right? It's almost like you're looking at your most authentic, natural, most powerful, beautiful self. That is it right there. That is the alignment. That's the alignment that we want to find. But yet, when you take this old stoic way where, like Alex and Tony were talking about, where suffering equals success, you notice in your heart, it feels like resistance. It feels so gritty. And there's a reasoning behind that. It's because we're thinking too much with our brain and not with our heart. So it's like the masculine feminine energy, right? We're too logical, but we're not tapping into that intuition, the soul. And I truly believe that, create your dream on this life, to follow your dreams. Like that's my mission to help other people do, is to end their suffering, to realize their potential, to chase their dreams, live their dream lives. I believe that is that soul's calling that every one of us have inside, but most of us don't listen to. Because oftentimes through society and how we're raised, we're told to not listen to it. So alignment is that so. It's where it's all in alignment with where you want to go. And next, what we want to do is I want you to take, so just for now, we'll take one of them. So one of the three, but you're going to do this for each of them. This is what you want to do. So let's say the first one is you want to make $10,000 a month. Okay. I wish before I made my businesses and what I've accomplished before, I wish that I did this because I would have literally gotten there. It probably would have shaved off an extra 2 to 3 years to hit to my goals. So like half the time almost. So let's say you want to make $10,000 a month. Okay. Here's what you want to do is, so first of all, you're getting very clear on what that goal is out of the three. Start one by one. Now I want you to get clear on where you are now and where you are there. So right now, I want you to write down what are your current beliefs that you have around making money. So when I think about what do I believe to be true about money? Money is evil. Money is hard to make. Money is freedom. Money brings chaos in my life. There's never enough money in the world. Billionaires are evil. Write down, and this is no judgment, right? There's no judgment here. You're just observing yourself, and I want you to write down all the beliefs that you have about money. Then I want you to write down how you overall think about yourself on a daily basis and also how you overall feel. Okay, what is your overall most dominant emotion, your dominant state of being? Then your actions. Specifically, what are the actions that are not in alignment with who you want to become? Okay, write down the actions that feel that gritty, that resistance, that doesn't feel necessarily good or in alignment with where you want to be, how you want to be. And next is your current setup. This is kind of a bonus one that you could do. But what's different when you visualize and see yourself at that 10K per month? What is different? Are you in a different location? Do you have a different office setup? What is different? Write that down, get very, very clear. And then I want you to do it the same thing with your goal self. Because here is the importance about this. Okay? Is this is how you're truly going to shift your life. This is what people would literally call the quantum leap. So what you're doing is, so here's some examples. First of all, is what do I believe about money? How does money make me feel? What thoughts do I have around money? What actions affect my money goals? Okay, because we're doing the money goal right now. That's why we're talking about money. So the reason why you're doing this is because the way our brains work is that again, unless you have an insane insecurity or you were brought up with the right belief systems or aligned belief systems, it is going to be so hard to get the things that you want. Almost impossible because you are trying to outwork the way that your brain has evolved, the way that your brain functions and works, the way that you create your own literal personal reality. You're going to try to outwork that system. And what I mean by that is that your core belief systems that you have, okay? So let's say you believe that money is evil. That core belief system, the way the brain is going to work for you is that it doesn't care if the beliefs are right or wrong. You are unconditionally supported with whatever it is that you believe to be true. So if you believe that, you believe that money is evil, what's going to happen is that if you genuinely believe that, that is going to basically that is going to give you the thoughts and the feelings that you typically have on a daily basis. Okay? Because remember, you are not your thoughts. You're the one observing all these thoughts. So these thoughts are just coming in. You can't predict what the next thought is going to be. So your core belief systems that most of us don't even know that we have send us these thoughts and emotions. Thoughts and emotions form the identity, the sense of self. And then underneath that is the ego, and the ego is the protector of that identity. So if you believe that money is evil, that is going to be a part of your identity. And maybe your identity is like, I am someone who believes that I never have enough. I am someone who believes that money is evil and I'm a good person. So I'm going to give my money away. Or I don't want to be rich because money is evil and greedy. So that's a part of your identity. And your identity influences how you show up in the world consistently. It influences your overall behaviors, your actions. And what gives results in lives? What changes our actual lives? Results, right? What changes it? Actions. Actions are needed to produce results. So what happens is that we have this core belief system, right? And it forms this identity. And then now the ego is protecting it. So now the ego speaks through a lot of us. And what I mean by that is like, let's say you want to make $10,000 a month and it's not working out, or you're trying these different programs. What's going to happen is you're going to have thoughts of like, this is such a scam. Things never work out. It's too risky. Right now is not the right time for me to start this business. I just can't take any more chances in my life right now. I've been burned so many times. Because here's the thing. I want you to really reflect with yourself and ask yourself, when you have those thoughts, does that empower you? No. So whose story is that serving for you to talk like that, to disempower yourself, to put yourself down, to literally talk yourself out of the things that you want most, that your heart is driving you towards? Who is that helping? It's not helping you, but it's helping a part of you. And that part of you is your identity. It's your ego. It's speaking through you. Because the ego hates one thing, it hates an identity change. Because as soon as you change your identity, that's the death of that ego. It does not want that. The ego is the glue to your book. It wants to keep things in order. Okay. The ego is trying to predict the future to keep you safe and secure. And the only way it can do that is to go back into the past and look at all your patterns, your beliefs, and make sure that it goes and looks for that in the future, in the now, or tries it in the now. But the ego doesn't survive in presence, in pure presence. So that's why this is so important. That's why we need to do this. Because if not, let's say you believe money's evil, but you're acting in a way to make more money, you're going to lose. You're going to self sabotage. You're going to have imposter syndrome. You're going to, maybe you're so insecure that you do make enough money because that's the drive that you need to make that money, right? That's what I had when I was younger. And maybe you do go make the money, but guess what? Guess what? You're going to find confirmation for that belief one way or another. So maybe you're going to start believing that you're an evil person. Or maybe you're going to feel terrible about accomplishing all that money. Maybe when you sell something to someone, you're going to feel so crappy in your guts that you're going to eventually quit that business. Or maybe if you do come from a place of it's never enough for me or there's always lack, maybe you might make $1 million this year, but yet you still feel as poor as day one. Like it was never enough because it's your belief systems. So it happens that our animal, our logical mind is trying to outrun this game, the programs, and the programs are like, "What do you think you're doing?" No, this is how it works. This is how we work. So we can just look into that and actually change that and get into alignment with those things. The success is going to feel like you're floating down a river rather than trying to swim up the river. So, and by the way, if you want to learn more about belief systems, because you might be questioning right now, but like Caden, like I've never seen how money could be easier. I've always had it harder. I've always had all these things. Like you don't understand. Go watch some of my other recent videos on how powerful the belief system genuinely, truly is. And then come back to this video. So once you're clear on that, once you have this clarity here, then I want you to come down and I want you to find the limiting beliefs and the fears. Okay? The fears, basically, what do you fearful of most of accomplishing that thing? If I change, what am I scared of most? Maybe it's losing friends, losing love, not being accepted, being judged is a huge one. The fear of failure, the fear of success, if you can handle the success, right? All those things. Find all the fears. Limiting beliefs are anything that constricts you, anything that makes you sad, anything that makes you feel disempowered and unhappy about yourself or the world. Those are all limiting beliefs. Beliefs are not solidified, they're not facts, so they can change. So if you have a belief system like there's not enough in the world, there's not enough in this world for me to accomplish to make this kind of money, that's a limiting belief. There is so much money around, there is so much abundance around. But if we can't see it because we don't believe in it, so therefore our brain filters it out. We don't see the opportunities, we don't see the possibilities around us that others are seeing, right? That's one of the ideas behind why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Even if a poor mind gets the lottery, for example, they'll find themselves poor again in the next 5, 6 years or so, statistically. So you find the limiting beliefs and the fears that you have, the things that disempower you. So things that are disempowering around money is like money is evil, money is stressful, money is hard to make, money is if I sell things, I'm a bad person. Sales are for sharks. That's a very common one. All these things that's disempowering, right? It feels negative. It does not feel good. So we want to cut those out. We want to change those beliefs. And if you don't know how, I show you how in my YouTube trainings, or it's the work that I do with my clients as well. And then you want to rewire them. So as soon as you have awareness around it, as soon as you're aware of this limiting belief, right? Then you want to rewire it. Change it for a new empowering belief system. So money is hard to make. No, is that universally true? Is that true on every case? No. Somebody could win the lottery and do nothing and make a bunch of money. There's YouTubers who give away millions to people just randomly and easily make that money. If money and hard work was the same thing, then the construction workers would be the richest people in the world. It's not like that. Okay, it's not universally true. So what must be true? Money can be easy to make. Money's just energy. I can attract money, right? Money flows to me. Money is easy to make. Okay. That's a very, very, very empowering belief system. That's the belief system that I'm going to go with. Okay. So now we're rewiring them. Then after you do that, after you change your belief, right? Then you want to focus on like how would that feel? if I put myself in that state where I'm thinking, feeling like money is easy to make, money just flows to me, money is just a reflection of who I already am. And I have an amazing relationship with money. I love money. Money loves me. And you change these beliefs, all these beliefs that you have around money, and you step into that state of like thinking and feeling as if it's already done, as if you're already making that $10,000 a month. Write down that state. Okay, that state for me feels like freedom plus flow. Okay, freedom and flow. That's the new state of being. So what you want to do now is, so now as you can see, you're getting your belief system on track, right? You're focusing on the new state, which is basically your new identity that you're building, and that is freedom and flow. So you're thinking and feeling about freedom and flow. Maybe you're thinking about traveling, whatever it may be. Okay. As soon as you step into this state and you're feeling that way, I want you to then act off that state. Before you take any action, make any business decision, make any kind of action whatsoever, get into that state and then take action, because now what you're doing is you're taking aligned action to where you want to go, to who you want to be. So now your belief system, your identity, and your actions are all getting into alignment with the goals that you want to accomplish. So what will happen? An example, a new belief equals new thoughts, new emotions, which forms new identity over time. New identity then causes new behaviors, new actions. And then as you're taking action, you're going to come up with resistance. Resistance is basically old identity patterns, old ego, old beliefs or fears that are rising to the surface. These are the anchors that are holding you down when you're trying to grow up. So our job is to cut those out, right? Face the lessons, learn the lessons, change the beliefs. It's there for you to level up. So watch for how you define it. Watch for what meaning you give to this resistance. Watch how you react to it, and watch how it changes your feelings, because these are all signs to find, okay, signs and symptoms coming from the old self who's just trying to stay alive, trying to keep you safe and protected. So an example of how this looks is you start. Okay, you accomplish big success at first, that beginner's luck. Then you have an identity mismatch, which means your actions and your identity is no longer aligned. So you face resistance. And this is the old self trying to stay alive. Let's say it's like money equals hard, but you just made $10,000 a month online or from a few phone calls or in a lot easier way. Now you have an identity mismatch. So you can find that limiting belief that you have that's causing you to feel sad, we'll say, is what you've been feeling from it. So now you can change that limiting belief and start the new belief that empowers you, that aligns with you. And then you can keep growing. You can keep going. So focus on state, aligned actions, learn and expand, let go of how and when. Because how and when is coming from the animal mind, the ego is trying to predict every step. But if it does that, it means it's limited to an extent. So let go of how and when and just do your part, which is act in accordance of who and how you want to be. As you do this, as you continue on this journey, what is going to happen is that you're going to form the identity of somebody who can handle that success. It's going to be ingrained into your nervous system. It's going to be a part of who you are, how you are, and success is going to be a byproduct. It's going to be a natural flow of what happens because you became the person you need to be to get what it is that you want. For example, when you want a stock to grow, how does a stock grow? It needs more value, which means it needs more people to invest into it. So think of yourself like a stock when it comes to the things that you want. Invest into yourself, invest the time, grow yourself, expand yourself, and stop being limited. Don't play the victim mentality. Don't buy into the fear and propaganda of this world. Don't buy into the idea that this world is not enough to succeed, or it's too late to succeed, or this generation is doomed. I don't buy into any of that crap. I'm creating my own personal reality. I'm creating the life that I want. And the only way to do that is that you take 100% ownership and you do what it takes to get to what it is that you want. And I promise you, when you follow this process, it will be a lot more flowy. You'll be a lot more fulfilled and happy. And all the best top gurus and coaches in the world teach this, like Tony Robbins, all of them. So thank you so much for your attention today. And if this did help you out, make sure you like and subscribe below. And I'll see you on the next download.